Hey, what's up guys, myself, and welcome to another laptop video. Or tech video, but I'm gonna call it a laptop video because at this point why is that not on? So long story short, I made the Black Friday video a bit late, so it was late. A lot of people watched it, I guess, for some reason. Um, but this time, I'm ready. I'm doing the Cyber Monday special deal video. Anyways, the whole point is this is the top 5 best laptops you can get on Cyber Monday. Of course, I'm hopefully releasing this video when they're early. But yeah, this is a Cyber Monday special video. Even though I'm a bit late, but who cares? Let's just watch it. Or let's do it. You get the point. Now, all these laptops are under 1,200 bucks. I feel like at that price point is more towards what people would pay for anyways. So this is all 1,200 bucks or less laptops that can perform really well for the spec. And yeah, I'll be linking all of this, well, the links of each products on the description down below. So you guys want to check that out, it's down there. Let's get to the video, shall we? Also, a side note, this is going to be from the lowest to the highest now, comparing to the last video, which I started from the best to the lowest. Let's just not do that. So yeah. Now, signing off for the list is going to be the MSI Thin GF63. Yes, I've mentioned this laptop before, and yes, it's the same laptop I have, but I just feel like, I mean, for the price point, even though there's like some drawbacks, it's a fine laptop. So it's an i7 12650H with an RTX 4050, 16 gigs of RAM, and 512 gigs of SSD. I should mention I actually have the 1 terabytes of this guy, but it's pretty much the same. It's 144 hertz, but not the best color accurate screen ever. RTX 4050, 45 watts though, so there's that. Great processor, decent RAM, overall not bad. Port wise, it's also not bad. It has 3 USB 3.0 Type A ports, Gen 1, so 5 gigabits. It has a Type C port, also Gen 1, but display out, which is nice. HDMI 1.4, so there's that connected to the CPU, so that's why. An Ethernet port and a dual audio jacks for headphones and microphone for some reason. You know, you don't see that every day, by the way, so that's why it's a surprising factor for me. Overall, not a bad laptop. Does a job for playing games, but I wouldn't recommend this for anything else than just playing games. It's a 4050, so not the best in the world, to be honest, but it does a job for at least gaming. If you're planning to buy something in a cheap and capable of playing games, and upgradability option, this is not bad. It does have a SATA drive for a SATA SSD or hard drive. Probably better for SSD, not a hard drive. Do what I did. But overall, it's not a bad laptop. It has some things that you might like. Screen, depending one person to another, I did have some issues with my system. But overall, if you could just go with it, it does a job. So I would definitely recommend this if you're in a lower budget but planning to play games most of the times. It's not bad. It's good. Now going for the second more like number 4, and literally going towards the $1,000 this time, is the Acer Nitro 5. It has an RTX 4050 this time, but the CPU is the same. It's a 16 gigs of RAM and a 1 terabyte of NVMe SSD this time. Acer is known to make laptops that are, well, used to be in a price range of $1,000 with the capability of giving the, well, in paper, best spec for the price point. Again, in paper. And at least per paper, it's not a bad choice for $1,000. It's the same processor as the previous laptop, but with an RTX 4060, which in my opinion just performs much better. Of course, it's a 4060. And a 1 terabyte of NVMe SSD, as well as the ports on this laptop is not bad as well. It's an HDMI 2.1, which is a much better improvement compared to the previous one. USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type C port. That's also, I believe, Thunderbolt 4, at least for what Acer says. I also have 1, 2, and 3 USBs. That's not 2, 3. It has three USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type A ports, or actually more, two USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type A ports and one USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type A port. But overall, good USB Type A ports, an Ethernet jack, and overall a good selection of ports. Of course, like I said, everything has a drawback. So the screen is also not the best in the world. But I guess it does the job. Upgradability on the Acer laptops are just top notch. We're talking about more SSD, NVMe SSD upgradability, and RAM. And unless I'm wrong, but I believe even a SATA drive if you want to. So overall, Acer is also good at upgradability at the price point, but screen-wise, not that great. This laptop, on the other hand, great performance overall for the price point. So if you don't care about that much about the screen and you want something that performs really well, for $1,000, the Acer does the job. If you're planning to do something more professional, though, get a second screen, though. So the Asus ROG Strix G16 at a number 3. Not only it's probably one of the best options in this list, but Asus ROG Strix laptops usually are the best laptops on the market. So we're talking about 16:10 aspect ratio full HD screen, so 1920 by 1200, not 1600, sorry. With 165 hertz refresh rate, so the highest refresh rate in this list, I believe so. An RTX 4060 with 140 watts rating, so a much wattage of rating, so it's much faster comparing to the other ones. Well, theoretically. And an Intel Core i7-13650X HX. So much more stronger than the previous CPU of the previous laptops. 16 gigs of RAM, DDR5, and 500 gigs of NVMe SSD. Upgradability wise, I believe there's a one NVMe SSD place, but connection, but not anything else to be honest. And RAM upgradability, but that's it. You know, upgradability on this laptop is not the best, but the screen is amazing. It's a 1080p at a 16:10 aspect ratio with 100% of sRGB, with the support, at least from what I'm understanding, of Dolby Vision. So great screen if you're planning to do some sort of content creation or productivity. You could use this laptop for that. And for gaming, a 16:10 aspect ratio with an RTX 4060, it's a great screen. So you get great specs for a laptop. Also, the ports are also great. I feel like it's even slightly better, if not better, than the Acer one. So, an audio jack, as usual. A Type-C port Gen 2 port with display out, as well as another Type-C port that's Gen 2 with the support for Thunderbolt 4. Better specs, and better connections comparing to the previous one. As well as an HDMI 2.1 as usual, and a 2.5 gigabit LAN. I did not read that one, by the way. And also two USB Type-A Gen 2 ports. Of course, in my opinion, it really depends from one person to another. I would actually just be fine with two USB Type-A ports as long as the Type-C ports are more and better. And this is what it pretty much proves. So if you're looking for a laptop that's great for not just gaming, but also productivity, content creation, and everything else, at a good price point as well, for $1,100, then yeah, best option in my opinion. The third place on this list, it's great, recommended. Second on the list, which is the Asus TUF Gaming A15. It's a 15.6-inch 1080p screen with 144 Hz, but with an RTX 4070 and an AMD Ryzen 7 7948HS, which is not bad. It's a good CPU, but it's the S version, so it's a lower version. It's an 8-core processor with an RTX 4070, so much better gaming performance theoretically, depending on the wattage, of course, but still much better gaming performance comparing to the 4060. 16 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte of NVMe SSD, and overall, by paper, a good laptop in general. There are a couple of things I would say not to go with, but Asus did upgrade the TUF series a lot lately, and this is not a bad exception. Not only you get a great performance in terms of paper at least, also the ports was upgraded by a lot comparing to the previous one. So we're talking about USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type A ports, an Ethernet port, HDMI 2.1, USB 4 port, so not Thunderbolt, but almost the same, to be honest. Another USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type C port with power delivery, and a USB Gen 1 Type A port, another type 5 gigabit port. So two 5 gigabit port Type A, a USB Gen 2 Type C, and a USB 4.0. Not a Thunderbolt. Not bad ports. Of course, not the same as the Asus ROG Strix. Never gonna be the same. But a decent port overall. A port selection of a laptop, to be honest. In my opinion, it's not that bad. The other thing they upgraded was the screen. They used to have the worst screen on the laptops. I'm not gonna lie. But they upgraded. It's now 100% of sRGB, at least from what they say. So, not a bad laptop. Would recommend this if you're planning to have the best gaming performance. If you're also planning to do content creation, it's also not a bad option. But the Asus ROG Strix does a better option or a better job, mostly because of the port selection and the way it was built. So for gaming, definitely this guy. For content creation, definitely the Asus ROG Strix. Overall, though, it's still a great option if you're planning to have the best gaming performance on the list. So overall for the price point. So not a bad option. Now, the last one on our list is also proof of why going more expensive doesn't mean you actually get the best option. And it's the MSI Katana 15. Now, it is more expensive comparing to the previous one, which is $10 more expensive and more expensive than the other ones by 100 to 200 bucks. With that said, it has a 144Hz screen, which also not the great option of a screen, to be honest. I believe the ASUS TUF somehow finally have a better screen than this one. Again, no clue, don't ask, but that's the case. It does have a 13 Gen i7, so we're going with the i7, back to i7 again, back to Intel, but is the 13620H, so it's not exactly the best CPU in the world. It just performs okay. An RTX 4070, but I believe low wattage compared to the other one, although don't quote me on that one. 16 gigs of RAM, DDR5, and then 1 terabyte of NVMe SSD. So, again, why is not the best? Screen. I already said, it's not the best. Second one. Upgradability on this guy is weird. For some reason, MSI, again, why did you do that? But they didn't put a locking mechanism, which is the screw thingy, for the SSD. So it just, the upgrade is there, but it just stands like that. Unless you put the case, which will close, but then that will be not a good idea because you need something to lock. So again, you kind of screwed up on that one, MSI. Port selection. For that price point, you really deserve something better. So, well, okay, then that price point you actually don't, because again, it's a 4070. But, you know, two USBs, 3.2 Gen 1 Type A ports, and a USB 2.0. A USB 2.0. An HDMI 2.1 at least, so 4K 120Hz, 8K 60Hz. An Ethernet port, an audio jack, and a Type C port. Also Gen 1. But at least it does support for DisplayPort, so I guess that's a thing. Overall, port selection on this thing is probably the worst comparing to the rest of them. So I did put this guy on the list because it wouldn't make sense for me to make a top 5 best laptops if I didn't have a top 5 best laptops. With that said, this is not the best laptop. This is a, if you want to go with an Intel version of the laptop instead of going with AMD with the same GPU, sure. I wouldn't recommend this. Again, it's not the worst laptop in the world. It's just ports. They really screwed up on the ports. Upgradability is messed up. Should fix that. And overall, the screen is not the greatest in the world. MSI used to do a great laptop selection. They used to do a great laptops. But I think they kind of forgot the whole idea of doing it good for the price point. So, would I recommend it? It kind of. I mean, if this guy got a little bit cheaper, sure. But because of Asus TUF option, it kind of makes it a little bit hard to recommend. Sure, maybe the processor is slightly better, but overall, it feels just a waste of money. I would recommend the Asus more than this guy. So, is on a list? Sure. Would I recommend it? No. Even though it's the number one most expensive one on the list. Doesn't mean it's the greatest though. So that is it for today's video. Again, I hope I can do this video, send it as soon as possible. The whole idea of this video is just so hopefully I can help people buy stuff without like choosing something wrong. Also because I feel like it's a great informative way to teach people what to get and what to expect. So there's that. If you're planning to get the best for gaming, of course the Asus TUF A15 is the best one because of the GPU, mostly. If you're planning to get something that's $4,000, obviously is the Acer one. It has a great CPU, a great GPU overall, with great port selections. But of course, for me, it always has been that the Asus ROG Strix usually are the best options overall. So you get a great screen, a 16:10 aspect ratio screen, so much better. Great colors as well. Great performance on RTX 4060, but still performs really great. Great port selection. Overall, it's great for the middle gap of the whole laptop selections. It's like something you can use for every single type of scenario. But yeah, again, it's up to you to what you guys can choose. If you guys want to choose the cheapest one, of course the MSI. If you guys want to choose the most expensive one, definitely not the MSI. But overall, that's pretty much it for this video. That's pretty much what this video is about. So again, if you guys want to check the laptops in the description down below. If you guys want to see more, comment down below, give a like, share this video. Hopefully this video gets released as soon as possible, just for you all of you guys to see before buying things on Monday. So don't buy things on Monday yet. But overall, that's it for today's video. So thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Also, again, Twitch and Kick, check that out in the description. I do streams, well, when I can. Also, subscribe. There's gonna be secret event, or not really a secret event, but there's gonna be an event that's gonna also have gifts. So subscribe so you can possibly get that gift. Not sure if people are gonna watch this video till the end, but if they do, there you go. There's a gift. Don't mess it up. Subscribe. Anyways, so without wasting time, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys in the next video. I should also mention I keep screwing up the words. I don't know what happened to me. Alright, anyways, peace.